DCOM special of the SCDF launches Carnival 55 pageant season, 9 killed, including 5 children, in deadly attack near Suriname capital. Now you know with Valerie Van Putten, guest Aisleen Maduro, psychologist. From the island, Sint Maarten, this is SXM Daily News for December 29th, 2025. The Sint Maarten Carnival Development Foundation, SCDF, has officially announced that Carnival 2026, marking the 55th edition of the island's premier cultural festival, will be extended by an entire week to accommodate a more extensive schedule of events and high public demand. The originally announced dates have been revised to reflect the extended celebration from April 10, 2026 to May 5, 2026. DCOM special of the SCDF launches Carnival 55 pageant season. Speaking at the event, Eduardo Rajuki, SCDF Carnival President, and Grisha Heiliger Martin, Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport, and Telecommunication.
And Carnival can't do without our queens. And this year we're glad to have the 3 sessions back in Carnival for 55 years. And I would like to say thanks to all the contestants that will be going up this year, next year for Carnival, and also the parents of the children of these beautiful young ladies that will be going up for the crown. And I would like to thank also the SCDF as members and also the coordinators of this pageant that will be taking part next year. I welcome everyone, I thank you for being here, but this is not a thank you for you to leave, it's just to introduce you that, hey, Carnival just started, and I always just say, come and experience life.
It is truly special to be here tonight, not just as minister, but as someone who remembers exactly what this pageant journey feels like. The excitement, the nerves, the sparkle, and the pride. It all begins right here at this moment. I'm proud to stand in for my colleague, the Minister of ECYS, and I am even more delighted to be part of this beautiful journey as we officially sash our junior, our teens, and our senior queens this evening. Though I will be sashing the teen queens tonight, please know that I celebrate every single young lady here tonight. And before I talk about you, let me share something about me. Believe it or not, I once stood on a stage just like this when I was a teenager in NBC. I entered a queen show full of hopes, butterflies, dreams, already picturing that tiara in my head. Now, let me be honest, I didn't win. I didn't place, not even a consolation tiara. But I did walk away with something I cherish to this day. I was chosen by my peers as Miss Congeniality. And sometimes I say, look at God. I didn't get that crown back then, but today I get to present my country, build relationships, create opportunities, and uplift others. Maybe Miss Congeniality was simply leadership training in disguise, because being congenial means being kind, approachable, respectful, and supportive. And that is something I get to live every day as a minister. So to our amazing contestants, here is what I want you to hold on to as your journey begins. A crown is beautiful, but character is what truly makes you shine. Winning is wonderful. Losing teaches lessons, but growing into confident, disciplined, kind, respectful young women, proud of who you are, that is a success that no judge can ever take away from you. Tonight is not the end. Tonight is the beginning. This is the start of your journey leading up to the competition in March next year. From now on until then, I think it's March and April, right? Am I saying it? Got it correct. Good. From now until then, you will learn, you will grow, you will evolve, and you will discover so much about yourself. Tonight is about poise. Tonight is about culture. It is about self-belief. It's about young women recognizing their value, their voice, and their place in the future of St. Martin. To the junior queens, You are bright tomorrow. To the teen queens, you are stepping into a womanhood with grace and strength. And to the senior queens, you remind us that elegance and confidence only begins stronger with time. And to the parents and the organizers at CDF, thank you for pouring into these young ladies. Pageantry begins confidently, it builds confidence, it builds discipline, public speaking skills, sisterhood, and leadership. And to every contestant, whether you win or are not next year, you are already celebrated tonight. Walk proudly, be fearless, lift each other up, and always remember your worth is never determined by a crown on your head, but by the heart you carry inside. So as Minister of Theatre, and as someone who once stood exactly where you stand now as a teenage contestant, or senior, or junior, I'm incredibly proud of you. And I'm honored to sash you tonight, and I cannot wait to see the amazing young women you continue to blossom into as we head towards the grand moment in March. So may God bless you, may God bless this journey, empower you, and may tonight be filled with joy, grace, elegance, and lots and lots of sisterhood. Thank you.
At approximately 3:01 p.m. on December 28, 2025, officers of the St. Martin Police Force, KPSM, responded to an armed robbery incident in the Kimsha Beach area. According to the information gathered at the location, 2 suspects in a white vehicle, bearing a specific license plate, threatened the victim at gunpoint and violently stole his scooter. Immediately following the robbery, a specialized KPSM team, alongside detective personnel, launched an island-wide manhunt for both suspects. Through investigative work, authorities were informed that the stolen scooters signal to the French side of the island, where the second suspect had fled with the vehicle. Simultaneously, officers pursued leads that led them to the Dutch Quarter area, where the first suspect, who was driving the white car, was located and arrested. The arrest also yielded a firearm in the suspect's possession. This individual, identified by the initials JAB, is already known to police and is currently under court-ordered monitoring with an ankle bracelet from previous offenses. Notably, JAB was previously arrested as a minor for involvement in a serious crime committed several years ago in the Belvedere area. He is now being held at the police station for further investigation. The KPSM will not tolerate armed violence in our community. Our teams will work relentlessly to pursue these criminals, and we will continue to aggressively investigate and prosecute anyone involved in serious crimes threatening public safety. The Secretaries General of the various ministries, together with the Secretary General to the Council of Ministers, recently completed a compact and intensive interactive workshop facilitated by the Holiday Institute for Governance and Economics, HI. The training, titled Public Governance Concepts and Practices, the Role of Senior Civil Servants, commenced on November 26th and concluded on December 1st, 2025. The workshop was primarily financed by the Ministry of the Interior and Kingdom Relations, BZK, through the Temporary Work Organization, TU, under the country packages, in support of ongoing efforts to strengthen public administration and improve governance practices. While similar sessions on public governance were previously provided to the Council of Ministers and Parliament, this program was specifically tailored to the role and responsibilities of the Secretaries General within the government administration. The workshop covered several key modules, including Foundations of Governance, Policy Development and Decision-Making Innovation and Digital Governance, Strategic Planning Trends and Challenges in Governance, the interface between the political sphere and the civil service. According to the HI President Dr. Eugene Holliday, the program was designed to strengthen the leadership and advisory capacities of senior civil servants, equipping them with skills to navigate complex government challenges. The workshop emphasized practical approaches grounded in internationally recognized governance best practices to support sound, consistent, and comprehensive decision-making. Participants expressed their commitment to applying the insights gained to enhance policy consistency, strengthen their advisory roles, and improve the overall effectiveness of public service delivery. They further acknowledged the value of strengthening proactive engagement, both in their individual leadership roles and collectively through the Secretary General's SG platform, to support timely and effective decision-making across the administration. News from Suriname: 9 people, including 5 children, were killed in a violent attack on the outskirts of Paramaribo, police in Suriname confirmed on Sunday. According to authorities, the victims were attacked overnight from Saturday into early Sunday. A 6th child and an adult were injured and taken to her hospital for treatment. Police said officers responding to the scene detained a male suspect after he confronted them with a sharp object. He was shot in the leg during the arrest and remains hospitalized under police guard. Local media reports, citing officials and residents, have suggested the suspect may have been experiencing mental health issues, though police have not confirmed this. The country's president said members of her family and neighborhood were among those killed. In a statement, President Jennifer Geerling-Simons expressed condolences to the victims' families, calling the incident a stark and painful reminder of life's fragility. She urged loved ones to support one another during what she described as an unimaginably difficult time. Police said investigations are ongoing and that additional details about the circumstances surrounding the attack will be released as they become available.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
Willemstad, Curaçao transnational, organized crime remains a major concern for maritime authorities, with drug and weapons trafficking continuing at high levels in the Caribbean. The Coast Guard reports in its 2026 annual plan. Curaçao and neighboring islands remain strategically positioned along trafficking routes connecting South America with markets in North America and Europe. The Coast Guard warns that criminal networks are adapting rapidly, requiring stronger intelligence-led operations and closer international cooperation. Illegal firearms, often smuggled by sea from Venezuela and Colombia, are of particular concern due to their direct link to violent crime and drug-related activities on the islands. The Coast Guard says suppressing these flows is critical to protecting public safety and the rule of law. More news from Willemstad. The Advisory Council, Raad van Advies, has warned that Curaçao's proposed minimum tax for multinational companies is insufficiently developed from both a legal and an implementation perspective. In particular, the Council raises serious concerns about the planned retroactive application of the tax. The minimum tax is intended to align Curaçao with international agreements under the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, which require countries to levy an effective tax rate of at least 15% on large multinational groups. According to the government, swift implementation is necessary to prevent other countries from collecting the tax instead, which could result in Curaçao losing potential tax revenues. Retroactive application under scrutiny. While acknowledging the international pressure to implement the OECD rules, the Advisory Council stresses that retroactive legislation is only permissible under exceptional circumstances. In the current bill, the Council says, those circumstances are not sufficiently substantiated. If the government nevertheless insists on applying the minimum tax retroactively, it must explicitly and independently justify this choice in the explanatory memorandum accompanying the legislation, the Council advises. Moreover, it emphasizes that no punitive or aggravating sanctions may be imposed on taxpayers for the period to which retroactive application would apply. According to the Council, companies should not be penalized after the fact for obligations that were not clearly defined or sufficiently foreseeable at the time. Concerns about implementation readiness. The Advisory Council also expresses concern about the practical enforceability of the proposed legislation. It notes that key implementing regulations have yet to be finalized and that the digital filing portal for the minimum tax is not ready. Both the tax department and the companies affected will require sufficient time to adapt to the new reporting and compliance requirements, the Council warns. Now you know with Valerie Van Putten, guest Aisleen Maduro, psychologist, all about our health. When we talk about our health, it is usually about some symptom or disease, like cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, stress, and then we talk about stress and the pressure that a lot of us are under very well comes to mind for some.
Okay, let's talk about something that a lot of people don't even know that they are experiencing or they have it. Burnout. Talk to us. What is burnout?
Burnout, just like you said in your introduction, it's a state of prolonged stress. So sometimes we have been under stress for so long that we don't even recognize it as stress. It is our new normal.
Right.
Right? And so many of us function with all that stress that you just accept it as part of this is how life is, right? So burnout is that state of prolonged stress that it leads to emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion. You know how sometimes people tell you that they just can't anymore? They're just tired and they just want to just go home in their bed, put sheets over their heads and just close everything and turn off everything. You're exhausted. And it's often accompanied by cynicism. You know how we go.
Yeah.
Right? When you get to a certain point, you really stop caring.
Yeah, we don't care anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, the heck with it.
And it also has with it a reduced sense of accomplishment. You feel as if nothing you're doing makes sense anymore.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? And then it stems from just what you mentioned, chronic stress at work, or it can be in caregiving if you are a caregiver to, for example, an elderly parent or a terminally ill child, any of those things, or from personal life. What burnout isn't is that it isn't a medical condition.
Oh,
It can cause
medical
issues, but it's not a medical condition.
Okay.
Right? So this is what we're talking about. It's characterized, for example, by 3 key components. One that we talked about is the emotional exhaustion. You're just done. You have nothing left to give. You know, and a lot of times you hear people talk like that. They're just done. There's nothing left to give. And you have that, and then you get the cynicism or the depersonalization, right? Which is where you start feeling detached from your work or from your family. You just feel like you're there, nobody really notices you, and that's okay with you because you don't really want to be there.
Exactly.
That kind of thing. And then the third key characteristic is the reduced personal accomplishment that we mentioned just now, where you feel ineffective in your efforts and that you think that nobody's really bothering to actually notice that you've been doing all this work or that you've been taking care of the family, whatever it is.
You feel neglected. You feel like no one cares about you.
And invisible. Yeah. Everybody just knows you when they need something done.
Right.
Right? But after that, nobody recognizes that you are tired too or that you need something too, because you're accustomed of being the one that is there for everybody else.
Several years ago, I heard a young teacher complain that she changed jobs because she was burnt out. Now, I always thought that burnout meant that when you've been at a job for 20, 30 years, that is when you feel burnt out. But she was on the job maybe 5 years. And, so I said, oh, that's the new excuse for why teachers are not really teaching anymore because of the burnout. Talk to us about that.
No, I have worked with people that are not even out there working 20 years at a job, and they are already experiencing burnout, especially in our islands where there are not enough people in certain positions to render support to me in my position, for example. Then what happens is that I take on the load of the other persons who would naturally be there. So for example, if I am the psychologist, right, I've been educated to do certain things as a psychologist. Some of the things that I end up doing belong to social workers or belong to whoever else, but because I don't have access to those professionals, then it all comes to me. If I want to help my client, right? So sometimes we take on more than, and taking on more than means that you burn out at certain points faster if you don't have the appropriate support network or the systems in place. So that's what can happen too.
Now for the weather forecast, today through Tuesday morning, generally fair. Surface winds, today through Tuesday morning, northeast with a variable to light breeze at 2 to 7 state of the sea. Slight waves, swells 2 to 4 feet in end swell. Outlook through Wednesday morning, fair to partly cloudy. And now your 3-day forecast.
you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah, your social health insurances.
The Netherlands, The Hague. Minister, Plenipotentiary, Her Excellency, Drs. Gracita Arendel attended the 36th Interexpo Kingdom Relations Congress in The Hague, held under the theme 15 Years After 10-10-10. The three-day Congress brought together political leaders, academics, policymakers, and experts from across the kingdom to reflect on 15 years of constitutional development and to engage in dialogue on the future of kingdom relations. Reflecting on the Congress, the Minister Plenipotentiary emphasized the importance of forums such as Interexpo. 36 years marks a unique opportunity to reflect on more than 3 decades of dialogue and to document key outcomes of this important forum. Such a record enables the countries and other participants to respond meaningfully and to prepare effectively for the 37th event. This opportunity should not be overlooked. A central moment of the Congress was the keynote address by the Honourable Prime Minister of Sint Maarten, Dr. Luc Mercelina, titled 15 Years of Constitutional Autonomy. In his presentation, the Prime Minister urged participants to look beyond the period since 2010 and to consider the broader historical context of constitutional change, emphasizing that Sint Maarten's present-day reality is shaped by more than a century of governance transitions, negotiations, and reforms. The Prime Minister was accompanied by the Minister Plenipotentiary, underscoring Sint Maarten's commitment to sustained engagement at kingdom level and to constructive dialogue on constitutional, governance, and societal matters. King Charles III has used his Christmas message to urge communities to pull closer together, instead of drifting apart. The British monarch, who is also Antigua and Barbuda's head of state, calls on people to get to know their neighbors and reflect on shared virtues like peace and respect for life. Values, he says, cut across faiths. Jamie Rocha reports.
In a Christmas message delivered from Westminster Abbey, King Charles III strikes a calm, steady tone, calling on people to lean into the values that still hold communities together, even when the world feels like it's pulling apart. The king describes pilgrimage as more than a long walk with a destination, calling it a way of journeying forward into tomorrow while also looking back so we don't forget the lessons history paid for dearly. He points to this year's 80th anniversaries of victory in Europe and victory over Japan Day, saying few people remember the Second World War firsthand, but the courage and sacrifice and the way communities pulled together still matter now.
As I meet people of different faiths, I find it enormously encouraging to hear how much we have in common. A shared longing for peace and a deep respect for all life. If we can find time in our journey through life to think on these virtues, we can all make the future more hopeful.
The king also returns to the heart of the Christmas story, Christ's journey to earth among the poor and lowly, saying it still carries a purpose, peace.
It was a pilgrimage with a purpose, heralded by angels, that there should be peace on earth. That prayer for peace and reconciliation, for doing to others as we would have them do to us, which rang out over the fields near Bethlehem more than 2,000 years ago, still reverberates from there and around the world today.
Unlike last year, the message didn't focus on the king's personal challenges, no mention of his health, just a clear appeal for compassion, reconciliation, and peace from Christmas Day into the year ahead. Jamie J. O'Shea, ABS News.
This is our SXM Daily Newscast. Thank you for joining us.